If you want to be a songwriter, you've got to learn. You've got to learn quickly. You've got to stay on top of what's going on. There's so much noise on YouTube.
And they forget that the heart and soul of the song is the most important thing.
Hey, SongTown, welcome. I'm here with my cohort, Marty Dotson.
Woohoo! Cohort
we are
is
frantically.
Our word of the day. Cohort is that's our the word of the day. Yeah, cohort.
I'm not sure if that's broadening the horizons of songwriters everywhere. I think they know that word. Okay, but let's go with it. You called it, so we have to go with it.
There we go.
So I want to talk about something that affected me, because the last couple of years I've spent a lot of time personally trying to improve my guitar playing skills. You know, everyone always said, "Oh, you're a great guitar player," but there were so many things I wanted to learn that I did not know how to do on guitar. I wanted to get better. And so I started watching a lot of YouTube videos. And I caught myself about 6 months into it I was watching people that were very entertaining, but had never really accomplished much as guitar players. Right. Like, I love watching the channel. It's entertainment, but I wasn't getting better.
Right.
And so I purposely started curating my playlist on YouTube, where I sought out people like Tom Bukovac, people that have played on many, many records and Tim Pierce, just guys that are killer guitar players that have YouTube channels. And yeah, you look at Tom's YouTube channel and it's not the prettiest channel. He doesn't have lighting. He's doing it on his iPhone, but he plays with so much feel and so much emotion. His chord voicings are amazing. He shares his insights. And so I quickly I was more inspired. I started learning more. And it just made me realize that there's so much noise out there on YouTube. And I am going to let you talk, Marty. Woohoo. But I just wanted to get this off my chest. There's so much noise on YouTube in every field. It doesn't matter what you're trying to do. Even in songwriting, I was scrolling on Instagram and a short came up and somebody was good looking, had an amazing studio behind them. And I was watching it and then I was like, wait a minute, their advice sucks. And then I was like, who is this? And, and I researched them. I couldn't find any credits that they had, and it made me realize that we have to be really careful today when we're spending our time, because we don't have a lot of time to waste. It's competitive. If you want to be a songwriter, you've got to learn. You've got to learn quickly. You've got to stay on top of what's going on. And getting lost in a sea of average tips out there, man, it's just, it'll drag you down,
Yeah, absolutely. And, and it's not necessarily that if someone hasn't had success that they don't have good advice, but sometimes, you and I have both seen people out there basically copying what we said, saying what we taught them or said as if it's their information. And if you dig into who they are, you really, you see that they really don't have much depth of knowledge on the subject. They may be able to spout off things that they've heard or read, but the, personal experience is not on their side. So, my mom always told me you have to be careful who your cohorts are.
Woo, dee, 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 dee. Cohorts. We've used it twice today. That should be our word instead of woohoo. It should be cohorts.
Okay. Cohorts it is for the day. No, but it's important. In the beginning of my career, I had some trouble sorting out who were the people to listen to and who were not. Who were the people that were trying to scam me or were giving me advice based on something 30 years ago, that kind of stuff too. It was just really hard. So there were times I paid for something and I went to it and I'm like, man, I'm not sure this person really is relevant with anything that they're saying right now, So I did the same thing. I kind of had to find some cohorts that were really knowledgeable and
Do, 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 do.
had really done what I was trying to do. And that, that's something you and I recommend highly, is finding somebody who's been really successful at what you're trying to do. And,
Yeah.
Then go to them, because they're going to have a depth of knowledge over time of how things progressed as a guitar player or as a songwriter and that kind of stuff.
It's not even that they don't know what they're talking about. And I don't want to diss anybody. So I want to be clear about that. There's a lot of great people who have great intentions teaching. But say, for instance, if your goal is to be a pro songwriter, I went to a music college, took a songwriting class from someone who was not ever a pro songwriter, had no clue. I learned some things, but honestly, when I got to Nashville and was trying to be a pro songwriter, I had to unlearn just as much as I had learned.
Yeah.
And I felt like, I learned some stuff, but man, it literally took me 4 or 5 years to unlearn the stuff I didn't need to know. So it's more about, if you learn from people doing what you want to do, they're inside the business. They know this is important, this is not important, and they'll point you in the right direction. And so I think that's the main difference. Not that what somebody is trying to teach you is always wrong, or, not putting somebody down for teaching what they're teaching, but it's just, is that the fastest way to get you to becoming a great songwriter and getting songs on records?
Yeah,
that's the key point.
I had somebody come to me in a mentoring session recently, and they said, "Can you deprogram me?" And I was like, "What?" And they said, I read this book by this songwriting guru, and they're like, now all I can think about when I'm trying to write are the rules. Like I'm counting the syllables. I'm trying to figure out, am I using iambic pentameter? And I'm winding up with these crappy songs that are worse than what I wrote before, because I'm so focused on the rules. And I always tell people this story when they come to me with things like that. But when I was a teenager, I went bowling with some of my friends, and one of my friends was like getting strike after strike after strike, and we kept trying to mess him up, and nothing worked. We were throwing stuff at him, nothing worked. And finally I said, "How many steps do you take before you release the ball?" And the next time up, he counted the steps and he threw the ball in the gutter. And we're like, "Yay, we did it." We messed him up by making him think about the process. And I think that's what the mistake a lot of times that people make, is that they get in their head that I have to count syllables, and it has to be just like this, and it has to all these things that I read in this book, and they forget that the heart and soul of the song is the most important thing. And that's why it's important to have cohorts and mentors who are successful at what you're trying to do, because they know, is that really the most important thing? Is counting the syllables really the most important thing? Or is it the emotion and the communication behind the song and that kind of stuff? So,
and your brain, honestly, your brain will count much faster than you thinking about how many syllables. Like your brain will just do it automatically. You go, here's the melody. I need this many syllables. You don't have to think about it. Your brain will fit it in there if you let go. But that's another whole discussion. But I get your point, and I just think I wanted to take a moment today while we were cohorting, and boy, we're going to wear this out. You threw in a second big word with the iambic, and so maybe we'll save that for another day, because we can't have 2 crazy words in one day.
Right.
But this was great. I want to thank Sweetwater, our amazing sponsor, responsible for me owing tons of money on gear over the years. Thankfully, I've had enough success to pay off my gear and enjoy my gear. So I want to thank Sweetwater. They've always taken good care of me. They give me great deals. They give me great customer service. And that's not an ad. That's just the way it is, and the way they've always been towards me, even before we ever had a podcast. So,
yeah. And the thing that blew me away the first time I ordered something from Sweetwater was that a person called me and said, hey, I'm your Sweetwater rep. Anything you need, reach out to me. If you have any trouble with this gear, learning how to set it up or use it. And, I've never had a company do that. When I order things, not to diss Amazon, but when I order from Amazon, nobody calls me and goes, hey, if you need help, call Jeff Bezos. Here's his personal number, anything like that. So, we're huge fans of Sweetwater because they do care about their customers. And they take super care of you when you order from them. Check them out. There's a link in the show notes. Also links to books, links to SongTown. We've got a course coming up on writing for recording artists that we would love for you to be a part of. You can find out about that there. But we've got 3 amazing artists. One's a Texas artist, one is a pop artist, and one is a Sony Nashville country artist that you'll have a chance to write a chorus for, and then they're going to pick their favorite to write and finish with the writer that submitted it. So it's a great course. We have a lot of fun. Starts March 13th. You can reach out to us, Marty@songtown.com or Clay@songtown.com if you need more information or have questions. See you next week. Bring some cohorts. Take care.
Cheers.